Okay, this will be an interesting one if we can make this one look good. It's a miniature size, it's really small. So let's see if we can make it look good. Okay. It's definitely going to be up 400% for this. We've done heaps of these. I keep finding them on the ground. The thing I find annoying about finding these things, even though I've used so many of them in demos, is it's litter. So many people are dropping litter everywhere, and these particular types of litter keep showing up everywhere I walk. I just can't seem to avoid them. They just seem to show up all the time, and it's just amazing just how many of these. And they could end up in the ocean. You know, they flow off the gutter on into the ocean. You know, they end up in the gutter, and then they end up in the waterways or the ocean, and then sea creatures and bird life and shit like that eat the plastic and ends up in their guts and ends up blocking up their system, and they end up dying, obviously death that's not very nice. Not a nice way to treat our natural reserves. We've got to have nature, and if we keep fucking up nature, well, we're not going to have any nature, and then we ourselves could end up extinct if we don't have nature. We don't have a food chain. If all the fishes are scoffing up all this plastic, they're going to die and they're going to become extinct, and we won't have any fish to eat. But no, people just insist on dropping these things all the time on the ground, and they don't think. And all sorts of things end up on the ground, and these are some of the most popular ones that I see. Anyway, but they're so small, they're ideal for a sea creature to choke on. This is it, Mentos. I see heaps of Mentos, all different colours, always on the ground. Why so many people litter? I was taught by my parents, and it was probably one of the best lessons my parents ever gave me. They were not good parents. I must put that into perspective. Even though my mum has learned to love me, so she's off the hook. My father's still on notice with me because he's an asshole, but one of the good things they taught, even as bad parents, was don't litter. And they taught us at such an early age. And littering just became an abomination for me, even as a child. So basically, I just was taught not to litter, and I listened to my parents, and this was long before we hear about these poor little creatures eating the stuff. Long before, long time before creatures were eating, that we learned about this stuff. My parents just told us not to litter, me and my brother, not to litter. And there was one shameful event that happened where I accidentally littered, and it wasn't intentional, but basically I had a plastic bag in my hand. It was an old Smith family, well, it would have been, it's old now, but it was a Smith family bag, and basically I accidentally let it go in the wind. It was blowing in the wind, and I ended up letting it go, and it flew. And when I found out that I let it go, I couldn't get it, I was horrified. I was really ashamed of myself, even though it was an accident. It was purely an accident that I'd let this bag get caught up in the wind and get blown away, way out of reach. But I felt so ashamed of myself. I was so panicked. I just wanted that plastic bag back in my hands. But no, it flew up over the rooftops, whatever. I just watched it and just was horrified. And I was about 6 years old when that happened. And I'd just moved to Sydney from the beautiful city called Cairns. So I lived in Cairns, a lot of beautiful nature there, lots of beautiful. We've got the Great Barrier Reef, which is unfortunately, due to rich people and their machinations, it's under threat. So we've got a lot of things at stake here with nature. Nature appears to be getting wrecked. There's just not much left of the Great Barrier Reef, and that's and of course I wouldn't be surprised if some plastics ended up there. But there are other factors. But there are different factors also affecting the Great Barrier Reef, like climate change, or should I say global climate change / global warming. I think it's the global warming component that's having a direct effect on it. It's causing lots of coral bleaching events. We've had the crown of thorns starfish, which I don't know if there's any real man-made part in it, but basically we all know that chews up the reef. We've had some outbreaks of those, and also runoff, polluting runoff. So there's all these different factors going into the damage of our Great Barrier Reef. And I'm afraid that I'll never see it in its most beautiful shape. I'm going to have to forget about it. I'm going to have to say, right, the Great Barrier Reef is about to die. I don't think I'll ever get to see it, make any videos of the Great Barrier Reef. Even if I have a lot of money, which I will when I get married to my future husband, Luigi. But I know he's concerned as well, and there's nothing we can do to save it. It's too late. There's too much climate change and global warming happening. It doesn't look like there's any solution to the problem. I just don't have any faith anymore in mankind. I don't believe in man, that man can find solutions except for the science people. But if everyone else is throwing shit on the ground and not cooperating, people have faith in a thing called people power, whereas individuals or groups of individuals, you can make a difference to the way the world is functioning or not functioning, or should I say functioning. But people power only works when everyone does it together. But we can't rely on people, ordinary people, doing it together. So things like littering, everyone's going to have to stop littering. But we know we can't trust them. You know, the authorities often issue penalties against being a tosser. So, but basically people are still tossing, even though they're being told that if you keep tossing, you're going to get a fine. You're going to get in trouble. Don't be a tosser, report a tosser. But it's not working because people are not cooperating. Even with the prospect of getting fined, people still just can't seem to stop dropping these fucking Mentos wrappers or anything else for that matter. So I'm not happy with the way, I don't believe in people power. I believe that big companies are the ones who can ultimately make a difference, but they're not behaving themselves, most of them, and they're polluting worse than the occasional, or should I say than just a little tosser. They're polluting more. So there's no real solution, both with average citizens and big corporations. There doesn't seem to be any solution to this problem. And it's going to take a crisis like mankind going near extinct. I think that's the only thing that's going to push people to do something. But will it be too late that people realise that shit, we've got to stop dropping these wrappers. We've got to stop using too much water or too much electricity. But it's really the big companies that have the power, and they can be leaders and make people power perhaps work. But as long as we have leaders, big giant companies, should I say, who are the leaders, doing the wrong thing, well, it seems like the normal people, the IQ 90 to 110, which make up the majority of the population who follow the leader, they don't follow the right leaders and they just do stupid things. And it just seems impossible that both on an industrial and commercial level and on a citizen level, we're not getting the results we need to save this fucking planet, to save the Great Barrier Reef. And I just, like anyone who's smart and intelligent, switched on, and who doesn't have the usual IQ banding, it's really hard to deal with watching things go wrong and having no fucking control, because you're not got a lot of money, you're not even in the class. You're a part of the lack of class. You're disabled yourself. You've got disabilities. You haven't got the money. You haven't got the clout. You've got nothing. You're just another citizen, but you're not even like the IQ 90 to 110, which appear to be the middle class most of the time. I'm a low-class person. I don't have class, but I'm trying my best. But a lot of scientists don't have class, but they have passion and drive. But when they are met with immovable objects, such as normal people who don't want to behave themselves, who don't care, and corporations where they follow, doing, but too much consumerism and shit. Now, this is not looking as good as I was hoping it would. But anyway, it's basically, what can we do? How can we when will people wake up to themselves? When will citizens and corporations wake up to themselves and listen to the voices, the forlorn voices of scientists and academics who know what they're talking about, whereas the corporations and the normal people appear to be brainless. They don't seem to have any knowledge or understanding. They just live for now. They live for the moment. And I'm often told by other people to live for the moment, because I live for the future, and living for the future doesn't seem to be all that hot or trendy at the moment. So people often, because of these environmental problems that are happening, normal people are aware of it, but they don't seem to understand that maybe tossing a Mentos wrapper is going to contribute in a small way to killing sea creatures, which are probably almost are going to go extinct anyway soon. Or should I say they're endangered, and they could go extinct if they keep consuming whatever amount of these. But they just seem to just say, live for the moment, live for the moment. I can't live for the fucking moment. I'm too tied up with the future, guys. Don't just try to brainwash me into living for the moment, because I can't live for the moment. I don't like at the moment what I see. Maybe if I like what I see, I'll live for the moment. But until then, I'm going to live for the future, and I'm going to fight for the future before it's too late.